So my guests are seated. This morning we're going to have a conversation. Let me just give you the topics that we're going to discuss this morning. The COVID-19 pandemic obviously is going to be one of the important ones. 2 Italians prevented from entering Ghana as confirmed cases hit 7. Okay. Also, Ghana card registration is still underway, even amidst the instructions from the president that we should, minimize congregation, of high numbers and so on. The EC still wants to go ahead with the new voters register despite the scare of COVID-19 as well. So we're going to be discussing all the ins and outs of those topics there. And then the second one will be the power outages. Greco is explaining the reason for the power outages. The minority in Parliament also has takes on the government, following the increased blackouts, saying that there's financial issues responsible for that. All right, so let me introduce my guest to you. I have my first guest is Gabriella Tetteh, who is she's a National Communication Team member with the NDC. Good morning, Gabriella.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm in good spirits, actually. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm great. We're all preparing ourselves for any eventualities with this epidemic.
Yeah.
So we just encourage everybody to take the necessary personal precautions and be safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. And let me introduce my other guest to you. She's a government team communication member, Joyce Zempare. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
His messages are with us all day.
How are you feeling, particularly emotionally, with all of this?
Well, I think it's better to take it calm because there's no need for you to panic. In all issues, you need to stay stable, calm.
Yeah.
And then take all the precautions, directives that has been given, and just follow the preventive protocols that had been mentioned. And I believe with that, we'll all be safe. We're all safe. Yeah.
All right.
There's no need to fear. There's no need to fear.
Thank you. All right. So let me start off with the story in the Daily Graphic. We want to delve into, there are different angles to all of this. The COVID-19, following the testing criteria, the medical director advises citizens. I'm just going to read briefly a few stories, and they'll put it together, and then we'll have a conversation. All right, so the medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Srofenyo, has urged people who turn up at the hospital for voluntary testing for the coronavirus, COVID-19, to stop asking for early testing, okay? Rather, he said they should submit themselves to the national protocols. The current national criteria for testing for the COVID-19 that the person reporting must have a history of travel, cough, fever with a temperature of 38 degrees Celsius and must be sneezing. Okay, when these are seen in the person, based on his or her medical history, we will take his or her samples for testing. I think that's a very important call that he's making right there. Let me read another story here. We also have over 30 countries confirmed. African countries, yes. 30 African countries confirm COVID-19 cases, more than 400 recorded. Just quickly read that. The coronavirus has now been confirmed in at least 30 of Africa's 54 countries, as regional power South Africa warned of a new crisis once the virus begins to spread at home and into crowded, low-income communities. The most alarming confirmation of a first case came from Somalia, the Horn of Africa nation, with one of the continent's weakest health systems after nearly 3 decades of conflict. Okay, official reports indicate that Tanzania, Liberia, and Benin also announced their first cases on Monday. So it looks like, and then of course, African countries, including Ghana, have begun imposing travel restrictions as many confirmed cases from abroad. Okay, so it's spreading throughout. It's really rapidly spreading throughout. Final story I'm going to read is on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times. Here, Ghana has confirmed a new case. Okay, Ghana records 7th confirmed COVID-19 case. Ghana has confirmed a new case of the deadly coronavirus, bringing the total number of cases in the country to 7. The new case comes despite the government's drastic measures to curb its spread by banning social gatherings and imposing a travel ban on countries with high cases of the disease. Confirming the news, the Ghana Health Service website stated that the new case is another imported one, stating that the patient is a Ghanaian citizen who recently returned from France. All right. So, let me start with... I'll start with you, Joyce. What do you make of where we are now?
Let me say good morning to yourself, your crew, my sister, and then our cherished viewers. And once again, we cannot start this day without giving thanks to the Almighty for giving us life once again. We are fortunate to be counted among the living, and for that matter, I don't see why we can take that out. Because when you look at, when you listen or you look at this pandemic outbreak, the U.S. President Donald Trump, when he was giving the station's address, made one significant quote, and I was moved by that. That we are in difficult times, but we know with God we shall succeed. And you look at it biblically, and I will say, look, like the good book says, in all things, there are times and seasons in life. So in all times, you need to give thanks to the Almighty. For it is in His own wisdom that He's allowed things to happen one way or the other to us. And I still want to add my voice, like Trump said that, look, the Americans since times of generation believed in one thing, that they've always trusted in God. And they know they're going to fight this with God on their side. And that would be my appeal to Ghanaians, that, look, even though we are taking all the preventive measures, we have been educated, we're giving the advocacy for us, the do's and don'ts to make sure we don't spread, we don't also participate in the spreading of this virus. We still have to have the hope that we have God who in all things, the good, the bad, the ugly of us in life, He is with us and He will see us through. Let me say good morning to the President of the Republic. We're seeing the directions He's taking, the directives He's given, and the stakeholders' engagement that has been going on, bringing every institution, everybody on board to make sure we fight this. It is not about individuals, it's not about it's not about families, it's not about communities, but this is a global pandemic. It is not an epidemic that you say it's within a catchment area, but you could say it's cut across the whole world. In fact, Africa, when it started, we were like, oh, this is not an African disease, it's not going to come down. Yes, even though if you look at the statistics, all the recorded cases that started in every place was what? Transported ailments. Like when this issue came out and broke down, people were like, oh, let's go and bring our brothers from China and all those things, our students. Italy, they did the first move, and today we all know what has hit them. But when you look at the growth rate in Italy too, then you'll get to understand why they are being hit so hard. That their population, they have a lot of aged. And you could see that when, if you look at the statistics of the people going through death and all this, experiencing this death in this pandemic, you realize that most of them, a percentage of it, like they said, the death rate as at Monday was about 80. Those at by 80 plus years were 14.8%. That was the highest. 70 to 79 was 8.0%. 60 to 69 was 3.6. 50 to 59, 1.3. And it cuts down, come all the way to 0 to 9 years, which we have not experienced any fatality yet. So you could see that those who are of age, because of their immune system and fighting any disease or illness that come around them, are the people who are more vulnerable to this pandemic. But notwithstanding that, and not to say that because of that, we can move leisurely, that we don't care. No, there are things you need to do to prevent being affected one way or the other. I can say government has done its part. Citizens has also complied, because you were surprised that from the president's statement, engagement with us, the station's address on Sunday, I was looking at how the religious bodies and other things were going to comply to this. But to amaze you, to marvel you the way, in fact, I can't say go on without saying good morning to my head pastor, Pastor Michael Buedi Nyameche. Less than 24 hours when the president made the pronouncement, he just issued a statement that we've cut down all church activities. It's been a whole.
And there are some people who are still resisting it.
I'm going to go there. The Catholic Conference, has come out, the Methodist Church. In fact, and when you look, most of the Orthodox churches, and yesterday the chief imam also added his voice. Then you look at it's only the few one-man churches. I know my favorite, Pastor Kum Chacha, he's a friend anyway. I watched his video when he was talking about how they're going to take the offering, how they're going to be dependent, how they're also going to survive. But my pastor said one thing, that, look, he doesn't see why you take the role of being the servant of God without having any work to do aside that. In that way, if you are not careful, you only be dependent on the offering, the little things that your church people have to bring you. And that is very dangerous. So this is a piece of advice. But I think with time they will come to understand. Look at South Africa. Look at where they've been hit largely. The densely populated area and then the poorest communities in their community. That tells you they don't have much amenities like we are looking at the residential and the cities, like we're saying. If you look at Soweto, if you've been to Soweto and you see the slums and the things, that tells you now the environment and all those things, climate within those areas has a toll on whatever is happening. And that is where communicable diseases like this have the tendency of spreading wild, especially when there are outbreaks of cholera. Do you get them in the big cities like or areas, vicinities like East Legon and the rest? No, it only comes to our places where we are densely populated, we are hooked to each other, our lifestyle and everything leads to one person or the other.
I want you to comment on the Ghana card registration, where in the Eastern region they've insisted on continuing with the registration.
I believe Ghana, the authority has laid down its procedures, the measures to be taken, that their staff should be careful, that in fact they've given directives that they shouldn't have more than 20 people coming there at a time. And when you go there, even when they started the large registration within communities, you have only about 5-10 people going into the final room for the biodata and things. So I think they can restrict it to maybe about 2 persons, and then the necessary preventive measures are taken where whoever is coming is given.
Why not just pause it until it's over?
Well, I'm not here to speak on their behalf. They will have to. In fact, you will have to ask them more questions for them to come out and answer to it.
No, I mean we've been talking to them. I mean the media has been speaking with them, and they are insisting that they've taken enough measures and people will be safe. Yeah. But I ask myself the question: you are doing a thumbprint. How many fingers are going to go on that thumbprint?
But like you said,
for example,
hold it. If you're saying so, this morning you've been here, you've used this table, I've been here. The moment I leave, there'll be other people taking. But
the table gets wiped down.
Yeah,
but you can't wipe down a thumbprint.
Why can't you?
It's ink. How are you wiping it down?
Not that. Okay, if you're talking about the thumbprint, not the biodata.
No, because what they do is that a lot of people don't sign, right? And even when they sign, they still do the thumbprint.
But hold it. Before you do the thumbprint, you sanitize your fingers.
Okay.
You sanitize it.
Are they doing it?
Oh, of course they should.
But no, but they said they didn't even have hand sanitizers there. We had our press people go and check. They don't have hand sanitizers there.
Have they gone there?
Yes, yesterday.
Then we'll only
they don't have running water. They don't have sanitizers.
Echo our voices to tell them if this is what they are doing. Then they should take the preventive measures that everybody has been instructed, or which we don't even need somebody to tell us, which we are all privy to. That these are the things you need to do. There should be hand sanitizers available. There should be wipes available, not dry wipes, wet wipes available for them to make sure everybody.
So there are places where some reports came in. there are hundreds of people desperate to get their cards. Meanwhile, the president's directive is very clear. No congregations of more than 25. But you have places, they're doing card registration. There are hundreds of people gathered because they're desperate. They say, look, we want to get our card. We don't know when you will come back.
And I'm saying, I believe we have to go back and find out to see. At least you can send your crew for that. You can give us pictorial and video evidence. There should be pictorial and video evidence.
We actually have
In fact, if you should play that, then I can speak to you. But before now, we are all speaking out of speculation. So I would want to see it. And then we can also add our voice. Because where you have more than 20 people, I would, even if 25 congregated, like the president's directive, no, there should be a stop to it. And I think they should have measures to make sure that, look, at each point in time, we shouldn't have even up to 15 or 20 people there. And I think that would be good because when you get to the registration center, there are processes you go through from the registration, first you fill in the form, and then before you go for the bio data, before you take your picture and all those things. So I believe those are the things that we need to do. First and foremost, how many staffs are on site at one police registration center? We need to do that. We need to take that into consideration. Then how many people or citizens do we accommodate at that particular point? I think when we are able to do that, we'll get through. And I've heard the EC also coming out saying that they think they will still go on with the registration. I think it's too early in the day because there's still a few weeks for the 1 month ban the president has placed. Because when you look at the time the president announced to the time the EC registration, I think they fall within that line. If anything concrete happens, then we'll
right.
But a quick one.
No, before you continue, because it's off the back of what we're talking about.
So
let's take a look at what the NIA, we have an insight for that conversation. Let's take a look at it.
I was expecting to see that at least the crowd would not be too great. And I think by the directives of the president and then the NIA, the rules and regulations that they put in place, at least they should not overcrowd the people. They should give a very good intervals, sitting arrangements and all those. And I think I've seen that. Yeah, unlike the other time, see people crowded. Yes, but now the sitting arrangement is okay.
I think people are adhering to the directives given because this place is not too crowded. I think they are serving the people according to the arrangement they have made so that people will not be affected by whatever is happening. So I think I'm okay with the process of issuing back the cards to the people.
As you came here, you could see some people talking. They are close to each other. But we were one not to be in the places where there are a lot of crowds, and because of this, we don't know when we have a time that everybody is supposed to have their card, and we are also afraid that if we don't do it within this time frame, and when the time is expires, we can't do it again. So we have no option just to come here, take the risk.
All right, so you've seen what is happening.
Yeah, we've witnessed two different stories. The first one, I would say no, because they should adhere to the directives, comply to the directives. And then the second one, I think they have done a wonderful, like you said, maybe different centers in the compliance they are taking. But there's one directive, and we should all comply to that. And then about the fear of them leaving and not coming back. I know there will be a time for national, once again, I believe, because I can say that my kids have not done this, because in the time when they came to Greater Accra, they were all out of Accra, they were in schools and other places. But there will be a time, I know, they made mention of it, that they will roll it over the whole
this one is supposed to be the main one that will mop up the majority of the country. Then the rest, they will have
district officers for
us. You just go there and go on the regular.
So people, in fact, I think they need more work. In fact, they have a lot of work to do. They should go out there and educate the public. There should be more advocacy. There should be more sensitization, and how to explain to people, for people to know that, look, there's time for them to still have their NI card, so that there will be no need for people to rush, because the fear of them leaving the communities, their registration centers, and not coming back is there. It is left with them for them to take out that fear from the people and give them the assurance that there will be a time for those who could not have the opportunity to register to also be given the opportunity.
All right. So we're going to take a short break. When we get back, I'll engage my other guests. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. And remember that this show is interactive. This is a news review segment of the Breakfast Daily. And the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. So use that on all social media platforms. And our WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. Please use the country code +233 if you're not in Ghana. Right, so my next guest is Gabriella Tetteh, and I'm going to have her give us her take on all that's happening. But I'm just going to read quickly, just not the story, just the headline of the Daily Statesman. It says, 2 Italians denied entry into Ghana as COVID-19 travel ban on countries with 200 cases bites. Okay, so here we are. After a few weeks since the first case, I think we're in our 3rd week, we are now at number 7. Confirmed. So far, it seems as though all the cases are imported. We've not yet announced any locally acquired confirmed cases. So I don't know what you make of all of this.
We are in our 3rd week in the month.
Yes.
But we are in our 1st week since the outbreak. So technically, it is 7 cases within 7 days.
Really?
Yes.
Is that how you're calculating
That is how it's calculated. It's not calculated when the month starts.
No,
it is calculated when you get your
when
first
was the first
outbreak.
announcement made?
Last week. After the president announced that he's instructed the Minister for Finance to release $100 million non-existent dollars. Which now yesterday, we were told by the Minister of Finance in front of Parliament that money doesn't exist in this country. They are now going to find some money from the Stabilization Fund, see which loopholes they can find some extra money from, and now go and request the IMF and the World Bank to give us funding for that, for this purpose. We've had 120-something million from Infrastructure Fund, which is funding the President's brother-in-law's hotel at Airport City, including tax incentives.
Where is this coming from?
You have 800 million, which you are going to use for a register at a time when 30 million of your people are at risk. And we are going to be confounded with a healthcare disaster if this thing befalls this country. You know, when she was talking, she made mention about one of the protocols that they advise is social distancing.
Yeah.
Look around you. See spatial planning for this community.
Yeah.
Do you see how our houses are positioned?
Yeah.
Go to a place like Lima Mamobi, Medina, Alajo. Go into the outskirts, where you walk out of your house into somebody else's bedroom with spatial distancing work, because already, because of the problem we have with housing, we have a backlog at the base there.
Excuse me.
In millions of people in deprived communities. Where should there be a community-to-community outbreak, we'll have a serious catastrophe on our hands. This is not the time for us to now be going to the IMF to go and apply for 100 million. Where the president is going to get 10 million within the next couple of days, he must make sure it happens. If it was money for Yen Chendi, by now, they would have found the money.
But who gives money for Yen Chendi?
Let me even go before they say after that political. This one, I'm in a very, very bad mood. You see, the countries...
You said you were in a good mood earlier on.
No, I'm in a very bad mood. You see, the countries that lost this fight with coronavirus from the onset, there are basic things that went wrong with them. One was transparency and responsibility. The second issue was that at the base level, if you look at the first outbreaks that happened, it started just like us. 3-4 cases. But because of the interactions of these people with other people in society, where people have possibly even contracted the virus, but because they are not showing symptoms, they are also mingling in society without people knowing that they are spreading the virus. And that virus is just incubating inside those people, waiting to just spark like that.
Yeah.
Look at Italy. Before Italy became the disaster that it is today, at the Mediterranean region, it started with how many cases? 5 or 6. Within a week, it had expanded. Within the following week, it was now multiplying. For the patients who have, unfortunately, fallen prey to this disease, statistics will tell you that for the younger people, it's much easier for them to recover because of their immune system.
Yeah.
For the older generation, as she also mentioned, it's difficult because as you age, your body naturally becomes weaker, and your ability to fend off diseases is much difficult.
Yeah.
Same way if you are already sick with some illness. In this country, our current healthcare system, we were already grappling with a problem of no bed syndrome because we ourselves sat down and watched our investment in the healthcare be left in the bush to rot. Today, we've gone to set up those makeshift tents at 37 military hospital, waiting for people, the pandemic to start. Then we go and put people inside those tents. When we have hospitals sitting idle, the rains are coming. And in this part of the world, it's a tropical region. It comes with thunderstorms. Those tents you have set up at 37, can they withstand thunderstorms? When the strong winds come, we have issue with flooding. Are we going to have our patients, the time when they're in need of critical care, lying in flood because of our own negligence and our own wickedness? This morning, every politician in this country should be ashamed. Because there are currently 350 people in contact tracing. Those 350 have also been exposed to people. If grace does not lift his hand upon this nation, and this thing blows up, we are in trouble. You reported 30 African countries have reported this virus.
Yeah.
Ghana, thankfully, even in spite of all our weaknesses, our healthcare system may not be the very best, but it's still one of the best. We live on a continent where healthcare provision is problematic, and that is really the fear that the world has. Should this pandemic take ground in Africa? The rich who can afford, seeing that Ghana has a better healthcare system, should they fall for this disease, will start shipping themselves to Ghana for healthcare when our own citizens don't have beds to sleep on. And unfortunately, the people who suffer the most in this pandemic are the poor and marginalized. The people who today, if they say we are on a lockdown and we should all stay at home, unless they step out and go and earn a living, cannot have any money to feed their households. The very people who do not have money to go and stock their storehouses, like how the rich people can. Should this thing blow up in our faces, that is what we are going to contend with. And this morning, each and every single politician, myself included, all of us, we should be ashamed of ourselves, what we do to this country. We should be ashamed. And to the people, this disease knows neither richness nor fame.
Yeah.
It knows neither your social class nor your beauty. First Lady of Spain is in quarantine. First Lady of Canada is in quarantine. Yeah. If I had a wish today, can I intentionally pray for somebody in high office to go into quarantine so that your leaders will see the need to find that money this week. That money must show up in this country this week. It's not an IMF World Bank matter. Ghana must raise that money. We have money to go and spend on useless, frivolous things. We should have money to fund this epidemic. And if Nanado goes on one other TV show and comes and gives us his long rhetorics, and we don't see any pragmatic solutions, we want PPEs, our security personnel around the borders. Now that you've closed our airspace for aircraft, Togo is open, Benin is open, Burkina is open. What makes you think that they can't fly to those countries
and then come across
and come into Ghana? What makes you think that as corrupt as we ourselves we are, somebody cannot pay their way to enter? What makes you think that even the Ghanaians outside there who are returning, mind you, 5 of these cases are Ghanaian returnees? What makes you think that because they have your passport and they are returning, they don't have the virus? You say everybody should go into isolation 14 days. How do you guarantee that the person is going to isolation? Do you know the things I do in my house when I go to my house? I pick up my car and today I am here, tomorrow I'm there. How will anybody know? You say close down the churches, but you want to leave nightclubs. That place where they do nothing but sweat and drink and booze. Those ones, they should be open to the general public. The church, which by this time should be interceding on your behalf as a nation, you're going to shut them down. You are a very confused country. You are a very, very, very confused country. Ghana. I've said it. Tell your Nado and his government.
He's watching.
You should watch.
All right. Let's go into the next topic. I don't know if you have anything further to say to that.
Interesting. Listen to my sister. The president is poised. He's pathetic. He's passionate about the citizens of this country.
So why do you have hospitals there? If you're so sympathetic to the cause of this country.
I listen to you, so give me time. If you want the time,
I also listened to you in the beginning.
So he will give you time.
Anyway, speak, I'm listening.
He will give you time to also respond. So I don't always want this type of confrontation because we can all do it the way we want to.
Just talk.
So allow me. You understand? This is a president who has come committed and very being passionate about the citizens of the country. And he is determined that whatever he has to do to make sure the good people of this country are safe, he will. You're talking about he should find the money. Yes, he will get the money and make sure that it is given out to the necessary institutions. Whatever it is needed for us to live on, he will. Because it was not for anything. He's not there just for the fanfare. You talk about chop. Oh, really? Let me take you down memory.
We have a crisis on our hands.
My brother. Yes, I know we have a crisis. That's why when we all go here, that's why I make sure I left out the politics of this because I realized that the crisis on hand, it is a collective responsibility on us.
Absolutely.
But if you want to take in the political twist, then we'll all take it.
Madam, a lot can change in 1 week.
You understand?
That is the point.
So that is what we all need to do. And that's what we now need to understand.
The question is that when the declaration of making $100 million available was made, a week later, we still haven't had $1 of that money.
Who has said so?
Do we have it?
Are you asking me? I said, who has said so?
But you are
hold it.
You speak for government. Do we have the money?
Hold it.
Do we have the money?
Let me tell you, whatever, if there is a declaration on funding, don't expect that all the money will come at a go.
Okay, how much of the money do we have?
In fact, I cannot speak of it right now. I did not. If I know you were going to ask, I would have just given you the figures on that. Right. But whatever it is, at least we know the initiatives that government has taken.
But you speak for government, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so it means, can I firmly suggest that government is not sure where the money is coming from?
Government is not showing where the money. If that's what you want.
I'm asking. Can I suggest based on what you're saying?
You can't speak for me. So if that's what you're thinking, fair deal. That is your opinion.
No, I'm asking because you speak for government.
I'm
asking you.
Government has said
how much of that money is available.
And I'm telling you, I cannot speak on it right now.
Okay.
So call them and ask them. We are waiting.
If you allow me to give a call, why not?
Call them.
You can't ask me to call. He is the host. He should challenge me to call. If you want me to call.
So let's make progress.
So this is a pandemic that we all need to fight. It is not about being. In fact, it's not about to create fear, to create panic. This is not about being discriminative. This is not about. Look, we need to fight it without any form of stigma, because when people go through this kind of diseases or epidemics, the issue of being stigmatized within society is one thing that we all need to fight. That is my stand for now. That what are we going to do collectively to make sure that even as we go through these processes, people are not stigmatized. Now, the 6 people that, like the Ghana Health Service Director said, are recovering.
Yeah.
Beyond their recovering point, what kind of clinical psychologists are we deploying for us? These are the things I think I'll also come in line to ask government to come out. The health ministry, the director of health service should come out and let us know, because going through this pandemic and this infections of this virus, within their confinement, with everything coming together, with them being what do you call it? Integrated into society. You know, we need to take out the stigma from them. There should be this psyching of people. There should be this kind of sensitization of people to make sure that we cut out stigmatization.
No, but you see, we know it's something that's going to spread far and wide. I mean, you can't go down that road of saying you're going to provide psychological care, or unless you're suggesting just for the initial cases.
Of course,
that we are talking about.
Of course, but the national, no, you know, you take it on stages. It comes in stages, and as it comes in stages, you take them as such and you move on. You understand? Look, I am happy that I woke up yesterday. In fact, going through the news portal, I read about China, and then some of their medical teams now having to leave Hubei, Wuhan. That it looks like they've been able to subdue the spread. Yesterday, I watched the U.S. having their first vaccine and having a female to have gone voluntarily, giving herself up for the vaccine to be tested on her. And I think it is good news. We only pray that after they've gone through all this, we'll have the vaccine to fight this. But before we are able to find a vaccine to subdue the infections across board, we should all adhere to the safety measures that has been put out. We all know how to take care of ourselves and all those things, and make sure that we don't infect any other person. We cut down the spread of it. And I also say kudos that we're making sure that any foreign person whose country has recorded, like the president said, and yesterday we witnessed what the information minister said, that the 2 Italians who were coming were returned. Let's make sure. Now, my sister said one thing, which we have all agreed to, about our polarized borders. In fact, when you talk about the Togo border, they are the few ones. But you know, we have stretches along our border coast, the borders we share with our neighboring sisters, that you have, it's like my place, you go to Paga, people walk from Kajelu to Po, which is just about 12 kilometers. And they walk through. When you go to Bedukrom in the Broahafo region, you have the bedroom in Ghana and the kitchen or washroom in Côte d'Ivoire, the same as Boko, Sankasi, and then Boko Township. So these are things that, and I believe, like the Director of Health said, they have district selected medical facilities that they are doing the checks and those things.
Okay,
and then Noguchi also came out this morning. Especially one thing that we need to tell our people. In fact, going around town yesterday, I realized people were using the nose masks, and I think the medical society has come out to tell us it's more dangerous when you want to prevent the spread of the virus, because it is only infected persons who should rather have access to that, and not those of us. Because yesterday, let me say this quickly, and then yesterday I went to a shop and I witnessed one thing. Those using the gloves, this lady has used one glove the whole morning, and she had only come out to wash her. And I told them, no, they should be disposable. That any time you attend to somebody, you should dispose of that gloves. Yeah. So the education should go further. We should make sure we emphasize or we push for more advocacy and sensitization on it to prevent the spread of the disease.
Quick comment, I want to read something from
yesterday, the people of Teshi, unfortunately, did not have water. At a time when we need water to practice hand washing and personal hygiene, Western region is rationing water because of our own negligence, again, with Galamsey. So you see how our own mistakes from the past is now coming to haunt us. We have NHIS in debt. Service providers from the private sector are having ECG threaten to cut down their power. If there's pressure mounting on our public health system, The people who are supposed to come and support us is the private sector health players. Now, if you go and threaten and cut down their electricity, because you yourself, through the NHIS, have not paid them. Why is the NHIS in debt? Because you're not releasing their money for them. Every time we go out to shop and buy something, we are paying NHIS. So what is keeping government from sending their funds back to them? What stops them? I'm not finished. Yesterday, there's another committee by some municipal assembly, 16-member committee, to go around and close down toilets and bathrooms, public toilets and bathrooms. When, as I've already told you, a chunk of your population is living in communal homes.
What's the reason for that? Was there a reason?
They are now going on health inspection.
Okay.
This is the time where they should be more proactive, going to get quality detergents, employing cleaners to make sure that they clean those bathrooms whenever people go and use those bathrooms, because it's this time of the season. You cannot let the poor be sharing a common bathroom. Where you finish, next person comes. If you have the virus, you are there. Next person comes, you are in it. Next person comes, and you are all transmitting and sending it into the population. Yeah. Right. You are going to put a burden on our health infrastructure. Already, our economy is about to come and take a nosedive. We are going to slow our economy down. Demand is reducing. Last weekend, I went to Plus 233. The whole place was half full. Typical of Ghanaian businesses. Demand is going to slow down. Incomes are going to drop. Okay. Families are going to have difficulties. Economic hardship is going to increase. So tell Donado, he better start setting up and stop the rhetoric.
Let me read this from our viewers. Our viewers have sent in some messages. Thank you for sending these messages in. This is from Mystic in please, the viewers. This is from Mystic in Edwajiri. He says, all our religious bodies, schools, corporate bodies have complied with the president's directives against public gathering. So how powerful is Professor Ken Atefua and his NIA to go against the president's directive? Or is it because Achim mafias are at work? Dumso is back. Nanado must do something about it. From Koblavi of Pokwasi, he says NPP government should give us a breakdown of the $100 million and how they will use it in the course of the fight of coronavirus. And the last one is from Clyde in Akotolante. He says, it's good to know that coronavirus has no regard for anyone, including Trump. I hope they don't politicize the coronavirus pandemic. Clearly, we are not taking into consideration by our rulers in decision making. We the chosen few will survive by every means and rebuild our motherland. He's painting a bit of a doomsday picture there. But yes, let's go to the next story. We want to talk about the power outages. I'm sure some of you have been experiencing outages of power resembling a little bit of a doomsday situation. We're not sure what it is exactly, but Gridco clarifies here something, and I'm going to read very briefly. The Gridco says the recent power outages experienced in the country was due to a scheduled performance test on a new regulating and metering gas station in Tema. It said the exercise was embarked upon by the West Africa Gas Pipeline, WAPCO, on Monday, March 16th. The statement issued by Gridco said this led to limited gas supply to the power plants in the Tema enclave. Okay, so there's that one. And I'm just going to quickly read to you from citinewsroom.com. Yes. Okay. All right, so widespread blackouts hits Accra again. And widespread power outages in parts of Accra. Lights went off around 7 p.m. In some affected areas on Tuesday, March 17th. So this is a day after the Gridco said that they were doing the tests. It is, however, unclear the reason for today's power cuts in some parts of the capital. The country has been experiencing widespread power cuts for about a week now, with intermittent power outages almost every other night. Earlier this week, Gridco blamed the blackouts on performance tests, which I just read, and so on. So, Gabriella, what do you make of this? And just before you make a comment here, the ranking member on Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Adam Mutawakilu, has bemoaned the surge in erratic power supply, also known as DUNSO, in recent times. And the MP of Damango called for a release of a load-shedding timetable. He says that basically, stop playing games with us, give us a timetable, and then go ahead and do what it is you have to do.
Yes, and that's consistent with a lot of the statements that have come from the minority side, because for the past year, this whole thing started like sometime in April last year, that we've been having inconsistent power supply. When we were leaving office, we made sure that we had excess supply of power for this kind of very reasons. Whenever there's any offset in any of the assets, there's always a counterbalance to make sure that the economy is still supported and there's power. That's the philosophy behind us going for all this extra power, to make sure that we had excess supply. Now, if West Africa Gas Pipeline has sent you a circular that they are going to, they are having servicing on their pipeline, they gave you a whole year advance notice. So the thing now is that because a lot of our assets are now dual power, what do you call it? It's not coming, but I'm jumping.
Yeah, they can handle both.
They can handle both fuel and gas. So if there's a shortage of gas, yours is to buy fuel and prepare for it. As usual, they are sitting there.
So you think it's not money?
Waiting for God from heaven and a cathedral to come and solve that problem for us.
Okay, quickly. Your comment on this?
Well, I believe
we have a minute to go.
That's very unfair. Greek and EC have given reasons. You know, they are trying to move us from the thermal to gas, because I realize that production from the thermal is more expensive than going on gas. And then you look at the barge that was moved from Accra to Takoradi to make it so short and easy. And it takes time. So they've asked us that, we should hold on. They are doing all these things, the changes and things that are being done. And I believe that within the shortest time, they should wrap up with whatever they are doing so that Ghanaians will enjoy the full services that we enjoy.
Edward Bao says there's no money. That's the problem.
Who says there is no money? I'm telling you, this is the reasons what the explanation government has given. And we all know that they are moving us from the thermal, the crude oil usage, to gas, which is more cheaper than using crude oil.
All right.
Yes.
So we have enough money?
Oh, of course.
All right. Okay, good.
But you know when they do something, you know when they do something, we told you that it is not about adding on the plant, but it is about money to buy gas and other things to make sure you give us lights. Yes. So and we still stand by that.
Thank you very much, my guests. There's a few more messages here. Good morning, Citi TV. I love, please, the viewers. I love the submission by Madam Gabriella on the issue. Hello, I'm Kelvin from Kaswa. I want to suggest that now all the energetic youth in school are home. Why doesn't the government at community levels involve us in creating isolation centers? It's a national issue and we are willing to help our nation for free. Just engage us to do something to help our nation. We are just home. All right. Thank you very much for that. And let's all be good citizens. Thank you to Joyce Zempare. You talked.
Yes, I'm surprised.
And then thank you to Gabriella Tetteh.
What happened?
About what?
The time.
It was too short.
When the topics are exciting, the time is always short.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed the show. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.